Usman to do one for me. Hello and welcome to Shay Zaza and to A Zaza Zooms In, which I'm doing with my dear friend Wonu, who not only do you know, but you also know she's very vain.
Yes, I am. Very, very much so. Lover of Jesus, very vain.
And that's fine.
Yes, it is actually.
That's fine, it works.
Yes,
A lot of people don't put them together, but hey, I guess it depends on your definition of vain.
That's it.
So today, what are we talking about?
Today, we're talking about people pleasing.
Yes.
I'm a people pleaser.
Are you still?
I'm much better. I'm much better now. Much better, but yeah.
Do you know, I feel like, and I can only speak for women, well, maybe I can't even speak for, I can only speak for myself, but I feel like women in particular do this more so. As I feel like from very young, we're almost not taught.
I think like men do it at work.
No, men do it at work. This is later now. I'm talking about from young. Okay. I think from young, we girls, I don't know if it's something we're taught or if it's something we see, but I feel like we want to please. I think all children want to please parents and everything, but I think I don't know. I just feel like with girls, there's almost a bit more of it.
I've never thought about it from that point of view.
I've always thought, because I think from, you know, it's like when, okay, I guess this started when I was backtracking to find out why I was people pleasing, like, well, you know, and I realized that actually all of us,
when we were young,
no,
but what would they have? In what way would they have passed that on, or would that have been a thing that they taught us?
No, I don't know that they would have. Maybe we watched our mothers. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying that I feel like somehow girls do it or
more when they're younger.
Yeah, more. And then I don't know, but I think it's a real problem.
It really is, because it's that thing somebody said recently. May have been your husband. No, I think it was you when you said you lower yourself.
Yes.
So I think there's part of it is that. Minimizing yourself to make somebody else look better. Part of it is also, it might be a confidence thing. So
I was actually going to say,
I'm not sure though, to be fair, but I think it might be a confidence thing, because you're not confident enough to do what your gut is telling you.
So you see, I was actually, and I don't know, there's like 3 places I'm going now just with that said, because when you said minimize, even though I know I was the one that said that, I feel like sometimes it's, the confidence thing. So if you don't know who you are or how great you are or what your abilities are, is that when you will minimize, or would you minimize anyway? I think sometimes you can be strategic. So let's leave that aside for now.
Fair enough.
But just in general, I think, would you minimize yourself if you really valued yourself or really knew your, you know, so when you say a confidence thing, I think sometimes, so let me use myself. I think I did it because I just didn't think I was good enough. And so one of the ways of being good enough was making people happy.
I think, so I don't know if this means I thought I was good enough, because even though I thought I was good enough, the feedback I was getting was that you weren't.
So
does that make sense?
Yes.
So even though, which then knocked me, which then made it even more like a norm for me to just people please, because I went in with,
well, you
I
are
know
talking
my stuff.
Much later. So
I am talking much later.
Your people pleasing started later, or did you do it?
No, I was much later. Mine started.
Yours started much later.
Yeah, much later.
You see, mine ended when yours was starting.
Mine started much later for some bizarre reason. It was really.
But weird. Then what? You see, because I think there's also different type of people pleasing. Because there's people pleasing. I think like when I said strategic, I think sometimes in a work environment,
setting, you should.
Sometimes, not that you should, but I think sometimes people do, because it's just.
I think you need to though. If you read the room, read the room and know what would, I always say that speak to people in the way they're going to be heard. So if this person, if that's what allows them to give you the audience, then I think it's okay. Let me speak for myself. But
do you think that if you do that often enough, do you think that you then believe it?
No, because then you earn trust, and then once you earn the other person's trust, you can then maybe like bring your real self, slowly, but still bring your real self out. But if they don't trust you, they're still kind of trying to source you out, and so if you come all in their face or maybe a bit braggadocious, and some people do it and it works for them. I didn't try to do that, so I can't say it would have worked for me. I'm sure it worked for some people, but I always went in with just read the room, see what will work for this person, and then if you have to be the, oh yeah, absolutely, you're brilliant, that, oh my gosh, that, even though it really was your idea that they turned into whatever it is that you became, then I thought that worked for me. I think it worked for me. I could be wrong now. Maybe if I look back and think about how it may not have, I may have lost a little bit of myself. I don't know. But at the time, and even I haven't really thought too deeply about it since, I feel like it was a strategy that worked for me. But much later, I thought, when you think you know something and then everyone else is telling you that actually you don't, then you agree to everything that they're saying, even though it goes against everything that you know. Yeah, so they can say, this is how I do it, but actually this is not the way to do it, and that's not the way to do it. But because you want that person to be happy with your work, or to be happy with what you're doing or what you're presenting.
I wonder if those people are not being braggadocious in their own thing, and
well, I guess
working for them
is what's the battle of the most braggadocious person.
I don't even know what braggadocious is.
It's like you come like full chest. In colloquial sense, like full chest. So I don't know. So, but it plagued me for so long that everything I did, I questioned everything, and that's the other thing it does to you. You question everything. You're never sure about what you're doing because you're doing it for somebody else. You're not doing it out of any kind of conviction or any kind of knowledge that you've gained or any how you like. Sometimes I say to my kids that I know same way I know my name is Wonu, that this thing you're saying is not true. You don't have that kind of conviction, and so
do you whatever say that to your kids?
I do say that to my kids. Oh my gosh. So because you're just doing it for the sake of, and it can also turn out to be like eye service, like.
No, I think that I certainly know that in certain places that I have been in, that it's just. And I remember having to say to one of my bosses once that actually I am your most, as in everybody else is eye service. Yeah. The fact that I speak out and you think that I don't, but actually I'm probably the most honest here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because all the rest of them that you think are doing what you think they're doing, they're just eye service. So eye service, how would we describe eye service?
Eye service, you're just trying to, well, it's like people pleasing, I suppose, but you're not really doing the work. You're doing the work when your boss is around.
Yeah, so you're putting up a front for
for the sake of
for where it's necessary to get to whatever you need. And of course, some people like that people are putting up a front for them. You know what I mean? Even if I'm not sure that they know that people are putting up a front for them, but they like the fact that, I guess, yes people or whatever you want to call it.
Do you know now that I'll speak about work. Sometimes I actually even like when somebody says yes, even though I know that maybe later they're not saying yes, because maybe deep down I think that at some points your faking it yes will become your reality yes. Do you see what I mean? You know, like a fake it till you make it. So if they're saying this to me now, at some point it will be the norm. So it's not necessarily that I like it, but there's a goal. Yeah. And my goal is that at some point that will be their reality.
But what if it isn't? It doesn't matter to you.
It's a risk. It's just a risk I have to be willing to take.
Yeah. I don't know. You see, because I just think, I always feel like a lot of it comes from what you think about yourself. But you are kind of countering that a bit.
I mean, I did say it might be a lack of confidence.
Yeah, because I think that if you know who you are and you know what you bring, if you like, then whilst in some strategic situations you will deliberately step down, you won't be looking to people please. But then I guess it depends on how you define people, because if you are saying that for the peace, like some people just to keep the peace. Like, okay,
no, I wasn't doing it to keep the peace. I was just doing it to save my skin.
Okay, well, but then I think that's a genuine enough reason. Like you know the consequences of not. No, I know, but you know the consequences of not doing it were your skin or whatever, and you at that time you chose your skin over yourself.
Yeah, but I was also losing myself.
And that's what I'm saying. You chose to lose
your skin. I know. None of it makes sense now. But I don't know. And I don't mind confrontation. I'm not a somebody that shies away from confrontation. So it wasn't the confrontation of it that got to me. It was the fact that I thought I didn't know what I was doing. I guess, so growing up for us in my house, it was like, all my siblings and I, I'm sure I've told you before, we all know our account details on the top of our heads. Yeah. We all walk to the door with key in hand because everything has to be ready. You know your seat number before you get on a plane. Because my dad was just of that ilk. You just have to know these things. And you not knowing made you the, black sheep of the house. You were the, not dullard, but, you were the one that just didn't know. And so maybe, I think, I didn't know this at the time. I think I only worked this out. Somebody said something to me maybe like 2 years ago. It was not even that long. That made me suddenly think, so my validation is in being good and knowing what I'm doing. Yeah. And so when I'm presented with the alternative of you actually don't know what you're doing, it takes me to a different place. Yeah. So in order to seem like I know what I'm doing, when I don't, I just go with what somebody says. Even though really, I kind of know what I'm doing, but I'm not confident enough in what I know to come against what this person is saying.
Okay, so why is people pleasing so wrong? Is it because it takes away from you, like you were saying? Why would you say? I mean, what is wrong with people pleasing? I mean, I don't think it's right.
I mean, to be fair, I like to think of myself as authentic. If you're a people pleaser, you're not that. You're just doing what somebody else thinks you're supposed to do. And I think we're all better than that.
I agree.
I think we're made for more than that. Yeah. Let me put it that way. I think we're made for more than what somebody else defines you to be.
Yeah. But you see, this comes back to what you were saying to your younger self about having an anchor and knowing who you are defined to be. Because that's why I said, remember I said, is this not about knowing who you are? Because I think that it doesn't make it easier. I mean, it doesn't make it easy, but it makes it easier to stand your ground when you know fully who you are, what you believe in, what you will take, when you have that confidence in yourself, then it's harder to people please. Yeah. And even if you people please, you know that you're people pleasing now. You know what I mean? It's strategic. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas I think a lot of the time, and I always say this thing, that so many of us don't know who we are until much later in life. So we spend the entire time being whoever we're told.
How is that? You should talk about that, actually. How we don't know ourselves for...
Because I don't think it's encouraged. Do you know what I mean?
In any setting? Any culture?
Not really. As in, it's this thing again that we're talking about parenting. We tell you who you are. You are going to university. You are going to be this. You are going to, you know what I mean? So you never really have the opportunity to be who you are. Very few, I mean, it's different now. It's different now. But very few parents then were nurturing just who they saw. They have already decided you're going to be a doctor. This is the path you're following. So you end up following that path and not being true to yourself and not being able to say that you are not being true to yourself because of the consequences. It's people pleasing, the consequences that will come if you dare say that you don't want to be a doctor. You know, whatever it is that they've planned for you, they have put all their money into it. They have sacrificed everything. And then you turn around and say you want to be an artist? Do you know what I mean?
I always say to my husband that, listen, if the kids decide that they want to drum for Coldplay tomorrow, you better just take it because they didn't ask you to send them to school. Absolutely. I say that, but I think if
you will be worse off.
I think I will be. No, but saying that, my daughter was saying to me that she wanted to be a surgeon, and I wasn't actively discouraging her, but I was trying to make sure that she's certain that this is
what she wants
because she's going to spend 15 years of her life reading, you know. So I kept saying to her that, listen, I don't want you to, at the end of 10 years, then decide that actually this surgeon life for me. It's not for me. So, someone said I should borrow my self-sense and stop trying to discourage her. But I just really don't want her to get to the end of that journey and realize that this is not what I was meant to do. And it's such a... If it was like you're going to do like some other course for 3 years, then, by all means. 3
years,
But this is 15 years. Yeah. And I think 15 years of your life to then come out at the end. I mean, a lot of us have done it, which is why I can then say,
But you see, isn't it about... I think that's why this parenting thing is so key. It's about identifying the gifts and talents that your children have and nurturing them. And obviously encouraging them to be educated and all of that, but being aware of the fact that actually education looks different in many different... You know what I mean? And you don't have to follow just one route. Because I think that, back to what I was saying, that we don't encourage us to know who we are. We don't encourage us to speak up, but we don't encourage, you know what I mean? So even the way we silence them, the way so that's why, I mean, I'm generalizing because it probably isn't like that so much, but the way a lot of kids are brought up, it's like they don't really have the opportunity to even admit to themselves who they are, let alone to anybody else. So if you're brought up like that, you continue like that now, unless something.
Saying back to people pleasing for a minute. I actually want my kids to people please me.
To people please you.
Yes.
Oh, you see, you need therapy. I've said it. We need to take you for therapy. So how? Okay, so they people please you. Do you think it's only you that they will people please though?
You know, that actually sounded really. It sounded actually okay in my mind. And then I said it. I thought actually this doesn't sound okay, because I just feel like there's some things that they need to do because I'm saying they should do it.
But okay, let me tell you what I was explaining to someone the other day. And you know this whole thing of Christianity.
Right.
And when you talk about rules and like the Ten Commandments, that you must do this, you can't do this, etc. I was trying to explain to the girl, and I said, you see, the way we're friends, I know that if I do a certain thing, you are not going to like it, right? So because of just my respect for you, I'm not going to do it. Certainly not deliberately. And that's how I see my relationship with Christ. Because of my relationship with Christ, there's certain things that he doesn't like. So as much as I can, I will try not to do that. But it's not because they said don't do. It's just, so sometimes I will do because I'm just, at that moment I'm being disobedient. Not, I'm like, I'm going to do it. So you know what I mean? But it's because of the relationship that they make the right decisions, or that you make the right decisions. And I think when you are telling people, look, take my Muruti for example, the moment you say to her anything, she's going to do the opposite, because the idea that somebody is telling her what to do is too much for her. And now, as a typical African parent, I'm like, hello. Do you get? But I've realized that actually it's about relationship. She knows what I like, what I don't like. So I don't tell her to do things in that manner. I will have conversations, and when she doesn't do certain things, I will bring it up about how, how I would like, you know what I mean? But it's because of the relationship that things get done. So I think that this people-pleasing thing that you want them to do for you, if you don't, the way you get them to do things, I mean, in theory, is with the relationship that you have with them.
I just feel like you can't rely on that relationship until a certain age. I feel like there's a certain age at which they would then understand that. And I think before that, they just need to please and do what I say.
No, well, you see, I don't even think
that's so controversial, because honestly, everything I'm saying is everything I don't want them to be. But
I disagree with you. I disagree with you. I think that you're right. They probably won't understand it.
Right.
But you continuing it's something that they will learn. Do you understand? So
I get that, but that requires effort on my part.
What did I say to you at the beginning? The whole thing about parenting is about the parent's own self willpower. Parenting is not about children, it's about the parents. I mean,
there's something I'm willing to give my willpower to. Guys, I know. And there's just some things I'm not willing to give my willpower. There's just some things I just feel like...
Then you will have people please our children.
God forbid.
If you want them to people please you, how are you going to stop that? How are you going to make them make the difference?
No, but when everyone is an adult in the room, why should I be people pleasing? It's different. You can't compare the relationship between adults and kids.
Hello. I think you just said that it was in your adulthood that you started people pleasing.
Which is wrong. And I admit that.
But you just said when everyone is an adult in the room.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, like, not that people pleasing is ever okay, but I feel like it might be acceptable if the relationship is between adults and children. Yes, that's what I was.
But you see, this comes back to what we're talking about with Wale about seeing them as humans. You're categorizing in a.
No, I'm trying to go with mental understanding.
I agree. So I agree that at certain ages, the response, you are the parent, you are responsible. Yes. But why are you teaching them to people please? So what you can do...
just me.
Okay, all right. So what I'm saying, so I agree with you that yes, there's an age thing, and at that point you are responsible, but you then have the power to choose how you decide to make them not be people pleasers, or to do what you want them to do without them being people pleasers. That's on you.
Yes. So I have to put in the effort when they're older to then make sure. That's fine. No, when they're older now. When I feel like mentally they can understand what I'm trying to achieve. Because I feel like at the age of like 8, they just can't understand it. I have to just
You're underestimating them.
That may be true.
You are underestimating them.
But evidence. No. So there might be an element of truth in me underestimating. I agree. There might be an element of that. But I just don't.
There's also an element of truth in what you're saying about the balance of power. But what I'm saying is that you do have to be careful, because if you are getting something to a certain...
I agree.
What we were saying about we're not raised to know who we are, then you know what I mean? So if you're encouraging that...
Yes, from
then
that
at what point are you going
But I'm only encouraging it for me.
Outside, but you can't control that.
I can't. And if I'm even... And, you know, I'm completely, you know, discombobulating my whole point, because if at home I'm saying do this, they're going to take it out, right? Because that's what I'm going to want them to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, so maybe not. So maybe, I don't know. I mean, all I know is when I realized I was a people pleaser, it was just, I didn't hate myself or anything. It was just very sad. I think sad was the word, because I thought, you're more than this. You're made for more than this. You're better than what you've allowed people to turn you into. And I always say that, you know, you can only control what's within your power. You can't control anybody else. So I don't even blame anybody else, you know, for the situation I found myself into, if I'm honest. I fully blame myself. So either I needed to go back and read some more, or learn whatever it is that was causing me to people please some more, and I didn't do that. So that's on me. But I just remember thinking, gosh, this can't be
me.
Yeah. This can't be what I'm all about. You know, it can't be, oh my gosh, this the person, I need to quickly do this, because otherwise, you know.
So let me give you an example of something I just remembered. There's a lady in church, and I'm sure you know who it is, and I've probably told you about this, but this thing of our culture meeting our children who... Really, our children are not Nigerian, if we're honest.
Yeah,
but
they don't even speak like
We're pretending that they're Nigerian. So we're saying to them, you have to kneel down to greet somebody. You have to... we're not... Yeah, I know. But we don't explain. We don't... You know, it's like, you know... And then when you now get there and they don't kneel down. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? That sort of thing. And so obviously, previously, I would be getting upset with my child.
Wait, our children are Nigerian. You know, a lot of them are trying to seize back power.
Okay, fine. But the point I mean is culturally...
Yes. No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So, like, in the end, right... I was getting upset because my son wasn't doing what was expected of him, because I hadn't necessarily taught him that was expected of him. Then I was now getting annoyed with him. You know, I hadn't taught him, that sort of thing. And I remember there was a lady in church that used to always go on about my daughter's hair. And every time she saw her hair, she would say, oh, your hair is messy. Tell your mommy, you girls don't go out with hair messy, like, you know. And it wasn't messy. It just wasn't perfectly done for church. You know how they do hair for church. Yeah. And she did this several times. And then one day she saw me in church and she was asking me where my daughter was. So I said to her, oh, she didn't come. She said, why don't you bring her to church? You must bring her to church. I said, because every time she comes to church, you know, you're always telling her hair is not done. And she doesn't want to come to church because her hair is not done. And, you know, the penny dropped in her, because she could, you know, obviously I don't think she meant any harm by it. Right. But what she had done, she had made it so that my daughter did not want to come to church unless her hair was done. So, you know, so this whole... not people pleasing, but you know, in a. So and I remember when I said to her, she said, "But that's not what I meant." I said, "I know that's not what you meant, but that's what you said. That's what she took from it, and now she refuses to come to church unless her hair is done, and her hair is not done, so she's not coming to church." So I think it's little things like that. And I stood up for her in that moment, and I think sometimes we don't. Yes. We just agree that actually your hair is not done or whatever. I mean, hair is not done. It's probably on me, but you know what I mean. So we take the adult side over the child for something that really. Isn't that fault. Relevant, and it's not the child's fault, you know what I mean? So I think sometimes we have to stop the people, you know, like
so it doesn't
because what I really should have said to her was like, come to church, it doesn't matter that your hair is not done, but all she could think
it's okay, hair can be messy,
exactly, but you know what I mean, we tend not to, we just take this person has said something.
That's usually me. My kids always tell me that I don't defend them enough. I will try harder.
I mean, it's my argument is, like my daughter said to me, she cannot believe that if she does something wrong that I will call the police, because what will you not call the police? If
that's something. Why doesn't she believe you?
She can't believe that I would do that. Like, that's a ultimate betrayal to her. I'm sure you know which daughter I'm talking about. So she's like, well, why would you tell on me? I'm like, because you did something wrong, and that's part of why they send me to you to raise you. You know what I mean? But I think so they have to know that you will defend them in the right place, but you also will. Yeah, you're raising a certain, you know what I mean? So I think, how did we get onto parenting?
I know. And but saying that, but you make a good point, because I really thought it was okay for them to people please me.
It's just going to continue.
Exactly. And I think that would be the great injustice, because I really, really would not want anyone, let alone my kids, to be in that situation. They need to be confident. They need to be, and not even be confident and not know anything, obviously. So, know your craft, know whatever it is that you're being confident about, whatever it is that's causing you to withdraw within yourself, that is causing you to people please, go and school yourself on whatever that is, and come back and, as we say in Nigeria, with your full chest, come back and stand up, be confident, hold your head up high. So, and, all those things don't just happen like this. So yes, I always learn lessons, when I come here, I always learn a lesson.
So do I.
So, that's whole, as you're bringing them up, you need to start doing all those things so that they're not people pleasing when they're older.
Yeah, I think, like we said earlier, I think parenting is a very hard job, but I actually think that parenting, it's on us. I don't think there's anything such thing as a bad child. I think there's just bad parenting. I didn't say bad parents. Is it bad parenting?
A whole other conversation.
It is a whole nother conversation. But I honestly believe that.
Kids are just wild.
Yes, but I think that, what I was saying about love, and I think, I'm not saying it will be easy, but I really believe that God has given us that ability as parents to.
So you think it's all bad parenting?
I think a lot of it is. And when I say bad parenting, that can include like environment, so not that they're parenting, but maybe the environments that they allow them. So, I put that back on you because you are the one responsible for them. Do you understand what I mean? So I put it all under that umbrella. Yeah,
it's tough.
It is tough. But we're good enough. Anyway, we've run out of time again. We have to make this thing longer.
I know. I think so.
Anyway, till next time, let us know what you think.